Hello everyone, welcome to our tutorial on how to embed the Report Viewer control in your Blazor Server application and render an RDLC report. RDLC stands for Report Definition Language Client Side. It enables users to create and render reports directly within web applications, eliminating the need for a report server. RDLC files include layout and data binding logic, allowing dynamic and interactive data presentations. They support viewing local reports using JSON arrays or custom business object collections. Key advantages include no server dependencies, a flexible designer, interactive features like drill-through and sorting options, and easy deployment. Here, I've already designed a report named productdetails.rdlc. I will add this report to a Blazor Server application and render it. I have already installed the .NET SDK on my machine. Let's create a Blazor Server application by running the command and naming Blazor Server Viewer. The target framework, Net 6.0, is out of support and will no longer receive security updates. So I will upgrade the project's target framework to version 9.0. Let's change the current working directory to the application's root folder. After the upgrade, I will restore the dependencies using .NET Restore, and then build the project. Add the boldreports.net.core package to the application, which contains all the dependency packages to add the Bold Reports report writer to the application. Next, create a resources folder in the www root folder of the application to store the RDLC reports. I will add Product Details Report to the Resources folder. Then, initialize the Report Viewer component in the project. In this section, we will integrate JavaScript controls by creating an interop file to initialize the Report Viewer with basic parameters. First, we need to set the report service URL and report path API properties to render the reports from the specified path. Create a new class file named boldreportvieweroptions.cs within the data folder. Then declare the Blazor Server Viewer.data namespace and define the Report Viewer Options class within it. This class contains the report name and the service URL properties for configuring the Report Viewer component into a Blazor application. Next, create a scripts folder within the www root directory to hold the script files. Create a JavaScript file named boldreportsinterop.js within the scripts folders. Add the render viewer function to invoke the Bold Report Viewer JavaScript control in the Blazor Server project. The report path specifies the path to the report that you want to render. And report service URL specifies the URL of the report service that processes and renders the report. Next, we need to reference the scripts in the style sheet. Here we will use CDN links to reference the report viewer scripts and style sheet. You can also use local scripts and themes. Open the _layout.cs HTML page in the Pages folder. Then, copy the code from the documentation. And add the CDN links with the boldreportsinterop.js file to use the JavaScript reporting controls in the head tag. I have included the documentation link in the video description. Now, let's bind the data sources to the RDLC report. For this example, I will create a productlist.cs class file in the application root folder to handle the business object data collection, which will be used in the report. I add the necessary using statement and namespace. Then I add the data collection code to the class file. Now, let's configure the Web API service to process RDLC report files. Create a new controller file named reportviewercontroller.cs within the data folder and add all necessary using statements as references, declaring namespaces, and adding classes. Add the Microsoft.ASP.NET Core.MVC namespace to the controller file, which lets you build the web application, including web APIs, and provides routing and model binding. Add the bold reports.web.report viewer namespace, which provides the class and interfaces specific to the bold reports library and is used to configure and manage the report viewer. Next, add the Microsoft.ASP.NETCORE.HTTP namespace, which provides types for configuring and running web applications. Add the Microsoft.Extensions.Caching.Memory namespace, which provides in-memory caching capabilities to store and retrieve data quickly. Let's also add the System.io namespace, which enables input and output operations such as reading from and writing to data streams and files. Then add the Blazor Server Viewer.data namespace to avoid naming conflicts. Inside that, we will add the attribute that tells ASP.NETCORE to enable cross-origin resource sharing for that endpoint, using the rules defined in the Allow All Origins policy. Then we will add the route attribute for the report viewer controller. Next, inherit the controller and implement the iReport controller interface in the report viewer controller class to handle report viewing. The iReport controller interface declares the action methods required in the web API controller to process reports and handle resource requests. To read the report file from the application, I will use the iWeb hosting environment with dependency injection. Next, let's add the post-report action method to process the report request from the server side based on a JSON parameter and send the response back to the client side using the HTTP post action. Add the onInitReport options method, which is invoked from a report helper when the report is about to be processed during preview. Within this method, I will set the value of the processing mode property to local. The processing mode variable with local defines that the report is processed on the client using local data. We will create a base path variable to combine the web root path of the application and resources folder. Then, create a report path variable to combine the base path and report name using reportOption.reportModel.reportPath to access the available report. Next, I will create a file stream instance to open the product list RDLC file in the resources folder within the www root directory using the report path variable. Then create a memory stream to store the report data and copy the file stream into it. This prevents file access problems in the server while running the application. Assign stream values to the reportOption.reportModel.stream variable. Lastly, add a data value collection to the data source value. Here the name is case sensitive and should be the same as the data source name in the report definition. The value accepts the list, dataset, and data table inputs. Next, add the onReportLoaded method, which will be invoked from the report helper when the report is loading for rendering. Then add the getResource method to get images to be used in the report from the server when previewing it in the designer. The action name getResource and accept verbs get attributes specify the endpoint and HTTP method for retrieving resources. Then add postform report action to save the exported report to the client side using the HTTP post action. Now we will need to invoke the web API in the controller from the client side to view the report. So let's open the index.razor file in the Pages folder and add the Microsoft.JSInterop and Microsoft.ASP.NETCORE.components namespaces, and inject the IJS runtime. These are used to invoke the JavaScript function from the Blazor component. Additionally, I will add the Blazor Server Viewer.data namespace, in which Blazor Server Viewer is the name of the application. Next, let's create a div element to contain the rendered report on the client side. And assign the ID attribute and styles to it. The ID attribute specifies the unique name for the HTML element, so I assigned the value report viewer. The style attribute is used to add the inline style for the div element, where you can assign width and height. Inside the @code, create an instance of the bold report viewer options class. And initialize the render report viewer method. Inside the method, assign values to the service URL and report name property. Then add the invoke void async method, which invokes the render viewer JavaScript function asynchronously. Next, I add the on-after render within the @code, which is called after the report viewer component has been rendered. Next, let's open the program.cs file. Add the add_cores method, which is commonly used to configure cross-origin resource sharing or CORS policies for web applications. Invoke the app.mapControllers function to enable routing to controller action methods, allowing incoming HTTP requests to be mapped to the appropriate actions based on attributes. Finally, we will need to register the license token to remove the license validation message. For this demo, I'm going to use the online license token. License tokens can be generated in the Claim License Key section of the Bold Reports Accounts page. I enter the code snippet to register the token. I have provided a link to documentation on registering a license using online license tokens and offline license keys in this video's description. Now, everything is ready to preview the report. So let's run this command in the command prompt and then generate the URL. Copy the URL and run it in a browser. The product details report has been rendered in Blazor Server application. In this video, I have shown you how to render an RDLC report with the report viewer component in a Blazor Server application. To learn more about Bold Reports, you can visit boldreports.com. If you don't have a Bold Reports subscription, you can try out the platform using the Try It Free option. If you prefer a demo from an expert, Request Demo allows you to schedule one. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.